Nowhere to go but up.
Hey everybody, it's Yolanda here with Suzette.
Hello.
on the Rise. How are you all doing today? We are excited about our show today.
Absolutely.
But before we get started on the show, I got two things I want to do.
All right.
Number one, it is Rovember. Woo! Okay, Suzette is not a soror, but she did join me today and wear blue and gold
in honor of the sorors. I mean, yes. I hope they allow me to have the honorary.
I don't think they're gonna take your scarf.
Okay.
I honestly
don't. Are you sure?
They're not gonna do it.
Okay.
You
promise? Okay. But I just want to say hello, everybody, and congratulations on what is it called?
It's our Founders Day. Our Founders Day was November 12th.
Okay.
So we are 99 years in.
Wow.
Headed to the road to Centennial next year. I cannot wait. Indianapolis will never be the same. Butler U will never be the same after we go there for our 100. I guarantee you it won't be the same. But Star Wars just wanted to say happy Founders Day. Happy Rovember. Y'all get excited for all the new people coming in. I'm excited for all the new sorors I've seen on timelines. It's been a great Rovember. Y'all, I'm tired today, so my throat go out. That's because I've been celebrating a little bit too much. But follow us. The second thing, follow us on social media.
Follow.
On the Rise Talk on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and on the Rise Talk Show. We are excited. Like and follow, subscribe, so you can catch up on all the shows.
Great shows.
We have had some good shows. We are doing this Women in Wealth series.
It's been amazing.
It has been amazing. We've had some really good comments. I've actually heard from you all say it's been really good information, really good comments, and we're going to keep it moving today. You can actually catch up with Suzette. Suzette, put your social media out there. Where can they find you?
Sure. Instagram, official I am Suzette, and on Facebook, I am Suzette. Yep.
Yeah, she's always giving some good leadership tips.
Yeah, my Susie Q's.
So today we are going to continue that Women in Wealth series, and we have with us Dr. LaWanda Studevant. I hope I pronounced her name right. If I didn't, she'll correct me. I know that. She's joining us today to talk about getting real about real estate, y'all. I know some of you guys want to be investors. Some of you just want to buy your first home. And some of you may even want to know, how do I become a real estate professional? Well, guess what? She's here to talk about all that with us today. We're not going to be able to go deep on everything, but maybe she could plant a seed to get you guys moving in the right direction.
Well, I'm ready.
I'm ready. Dr. LaWanda, how are you today?
I'm fine. Oh, hello. Nice to be here. Nice to meet you. Hello, everyone out there.
Awesome. It's so good to be here. So I just wanted to give you all a little history about her, a little background on her before we dive in. So y'all know that she is the real. We are bringing somebody who's been in it for years, okay? She's a licensed realtor and realtor. I cannot speak today. In Maryland, Virginia, and the District of Columbia.
Come on.
She has helped hundreds of clients buy, sell, rent, lease both residential and commercial properties. Okay. Ooh. So LaWanda is motivated for her clients, whether she's looking for a $1 shell or $1 million home. Did y'all hear that? Whether you got $1 or $1 million, she can help you.
I love it.
Listen, if you know what you're doing with it, you'll buy a $1 shell.
I gotta think about that for a minute. I might have to talk to her about that, the $1 shell part, But hey, the $1 million home, that's what I'm talking about.
Awesome. So good to see you, Dr. LaWanda. Come on with it today. Tell us what's going on in the real estate market for people who are looking for homes right now.
Oh my goodness. So there is quite a bit of activity still going on. I know you've probably read in the media that there's a shortage, there's low inventory, but people are still out there buying, selling, renting, leasing property. So that never stops. I always say that whatever it is that you have to sell, there's always a buyer out there for it. It's just a matter of price, terms, location, and opportunity.
Amen. Yes. Amen. That's life, right? It's just all about the opportunity.
Always knocking.
Yes, always knocking. So for our news, so we said we're gonna talk about this kind of break it down in different areas, because real estate is so vast. We would be here probably until tomorrow talking if we talked about all the little intricacies and things like that. So for people who are new home buyers, right? What are some things they need to be considering, especially with such a tight market? What are some things you would tell them right now to consider if they are looking to buy their first home?
Well, the first thing that I would say is that you have to pull together your dream home team, okay? And so with that, you need to have a trusted, experienced realtor, number one. You also need to have a loan officer that knows and understands the mortgage part of this process. And you need to have a home inspector that will help you learn about this property that you're considering buying. And so first and foremost, you have to find out your mortgage worthiness. You know, you need to know what your credit score is. Your credit score is the driver for the types of programs that'll be available to you. So if your credit score is in the 500s, you're one of my clients that we're going to work together to help bring up your credit score. I'm going to bring to you a mortgage loan officer that can help you, give you the, I don't want to say tips and tricks, but you know, tell you what you need to do in order to increase your credit score. You also need to have some monies available. First-time home buyers still need to have some money. And the reason being that the market crashed in 2008 is because there were a lot of people that didn't have a lot of money in their transactions. And so it was easier for them to walk away from it, you know, because they came with $1, you know, with $1, but, you know, they came with so little money, you know, people were kind of joking about, as long as you fog up the glass up under your nose, you can buy. But that really people up for failure because they had not put in any cash or very little cash. And so it was easy for them to walk away. So you do have to prepare. And you can get monies from a variety of ways. You can get it from your retirement plan. You can borrow from it. First and foremost, you should try and save. You know, don't spend. I always tell people, don't try and buy the McMansion first out of the gate. You know, now, I need to have, you know, single person, I need to have 4 bedrooms, 2.5. You know, you don't need all that. Buy what you can afford and what you need at that time. And then you can sell or, you know, use some of the cash from that to buy up going on to the next home. But you don't have to buy the McMansion first time out of the gate. I'm just saying. And you know, a lot of times there are people that come from various different professions, you know, let's say a barber. I'm not going to pick on any, you know, particular profession, but just calling out a few, barber or hairstylist or, you know, someone who details cars, whatever your business is. But if you make 6 figures in that business, but then you expense it all away, you know, because you don't want to pay taxes on it. When it's time to purchase a home, guess what? You only made $2,000 out of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, you can't go double back and say, "Oh, well, I want to pull back my tax return."
Right.
You know, now you're looking suspect. So that's not.
People don't know that though. A lot of people don't know.
But that's great information.
That's good information.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to touch on a couple things that you said. So I don't know if some of you heard her, but she said you basically have to have some skin in the game. Yeah. People want to see that you are putting money into these properties and things like that, because it is easier to walk away when you have no skin in the game.
Right. And foreclosure, mortgage default. And you talked about 2008 and what happened. So there's more stringent guidelines in place, obviously, right? With getting a mortgage. And that's absolutely understandable.
Yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on that you said, because this was how Scott and I were able to get our home in the beginning, is we had 401k plans that had money in them. Now, we didn't take money out of our 401k plans, but we had that money. They knew that we had that money. And so it could be used as, you know, banks like to see you can save, right? So we were able to save money on our own, but we also had that. And so that's, I don't think a lot of people realize that banks see that as collateral for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so you have to have a really good real estate or loan officer to pull that out. So.
And so one of the things that I would also like to echo is that, you know, let's say you make $3,000 a month, just using a round number.
Mm-hmm.
The mortgage company does not want the buyer to then get a $2,000 mortgage. You need to keep your mortgage amount down to around a third of what your monthly income is. So in the $3,000 a month salary scenario, then your mortgage should stay around $1,000.
Right.
You know, you don't expense all of your income on the house. Then you become house poor.
Yeah.
You don't want to
income ratio, right?
You know,
yeah,
ramen noodles and and catnip.
Listen, that's real for some people though. She's right. That mansion costs money.
Mm-hmm.
When you got no money to pay for it.
I think the other thing people forget, LaWanda, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, is the expenses of a home.
Mm-hmm.
The gas, the lighting, you know, electricity.
Yes.
You forget it's not just about paying the mortgage.
Yes.
When you come from renting or something like that, you now have a whole nother set of expenses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. That electricity bill, that gas bill, that water bill for all those back, you know, all of that, you know, cost. And then having, you know, the loan, if you buy in the McMansion, you know, you don't want to have a raggedy looking yard, you know.
Right.
You know,
Because
so there's a lot that goes into,
yes.
Yeah, you water it, and, you know, so a lot goes into it. And people sometimes just forget all about that. You can't take that $50 electric bill from your apartment and think it's going to be the same for the McMansion.
Yeah,
that's not how that works.
Yeah. Oh, that's such good information. No, that's really good information. I mean, like, I'm glad that we're talking through and bringing up this stuff, because I will tell you, I mean, we thought about that. We thought about the whole house poor thing. As you speak about 2008 and when the market crashed, we had a lot of people in our neighborhood who sold and got out of the neighborhood and went to another neighborhood. And then they realized the big difference in mortgage and expenses that they were incurring. You know, some of the newer neighborhoods have higher homeowners association fees, right? They didn't budget for that. Some of them ended up being upside down because the market was overheated at the time. And now you have higher everything, taxes and everything, but your house is underwater. So you have to really think about, you know, there's an old saying that I came across when we bought our houses: you make your money up front when you buy your house, not on the back end.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you're paying too much in the beginning, it's going to be harder to make that
You'll
up.
be house poor. You'll be house poor. I was laughing because my father-in-law sets the temperature for the house in terms of the heating of the house. And sometimes I come in and I need like a scarf and my coat on and things like that. My mother-in-law is like, he doesn't like anybody to touch the temperature gauge. Meanwhile, you know,
they're freezing. I'm
talking and I'm seeing frost coming out my breath because, you know, he's trying to maintain, you know, that heat. I'm just saying, you know, because he's very cheap on the spend. So
it's not cheap, it's frugal.
It's frugal. But listen, a house will make you do some things.
Yeah, it will.
Ultimately, my goal is what I'm saying. You know, and I love you, Dad. I'm just saying. Yes.
That's something, Yolanda, about higher homeowner association fees. You know, there's some people, I've had some clients come to me and say, I don't want to live in a neighborhood that has a required homeowner association.
Right.
You know, two things come to mind. One, and I have my kids, you know, I'll tell them, I said, we can drive through a neighborhood. And I said, can you tell me if this neighborhood has a homeowner association? Or because they already know, because they've been in the car with me when I'm out showing properties, especially when they were little, get McDonald's fries after we get finished. But, you know, you can go into a neighborhood that does not have a homeowners association and you see cars up on center blocks, trash cans out in the front all week long, and, you know, just all kinds of things, you know, going on, you know. And so that makes a difference. You like the look of the neighborhood with the homeowners association. You don't want to pay for it. And then secondly, regarding the homeowner association and condo associations, if you want that pool or the golf course or the gated entrance coming in,
you got to pay for that. Yep.
Yeah,
it's not free.
No.
Yeah.
It's not
Nope.
free. And
No
they do
free
make
lunch.
a difference.
Yes.
They make a difference. So those are things to consider, right? When we're buying in general.
Yeah.
So what are the differences you see between first-time home buyers and then home buyers who, may have bought their first homes, are looking for investment homes, vacation homes, things like that? What are some of their needs and how do they differ from maybe your first-time home buyer?
That's a very good question. So one of the things that comes to mind is that if you're not buying all cash for this second home, then you're going to have a higher interest rate, and the requirements in terms of amount of money out of pocket. Company knows that this is your home. And anytime it's your second home and not the one you have to come home to every night, you may not care. It's just like not having money, not having enough skin in the game when you're buying a home. The same applies, and even more.
She's breaking up. You're breaking up, Laura. You're breaking up a little bit. Can you go back a little bit? You broke up a little bit, LaWanda.
Second home.
I think she can hear me.
Home or vacation home, they want to see you, and so your interest rate likewise will be a little higher because they know. I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
now?
you were breaking up. You better now,
Yeah.
but you were breaking up a little bit. You were giving good information, but you were breaking up.
The Wi-Fi went in and out. That's okay though.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Keep going. You were talking about higher interest rates. Just pick it up from there.
Yeah. So higher interest rates will be key because they know that this is not your primary residence, and so again, you might let that mortgage drop because where you go every night to go to sleep. You have to be concerned about a property that is going to be away from you, in terms of maintenance. You need to have management, that you can depend on and not spend money like you're a millionaire on keeping your home maintained. You do have to be concerned about the maintenance of a home that you're not looking at or going to every day. Still have to go through the process of home inspections and all of that to make sure that you're buying a good, solid home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some of the tips you would give to purchasing investment properties? Like, some people, well, let's talk about how some people want to purchase investment properties for income and some people want to purchase investment properties for wealth building. What would I need to consider, as far as if I was doing it for wealth building versus if I were just doing it because I wanted to generate income? Just kind of, because I'm looking at it different if I'm doing one or the other. So,
okay. So what I was describing just a moment ago was if this is a vacation home, a second home that would have as a place to get away on the weekends or what have you. If you're buying a home or property, let's say
breaking up again, LaWanda.
Property.
Okay, there you go.
But a property that you're looking to getting the home inspected, you do need a renter's license when you're the land. And so what I would say is you need to be real good with knowing what your numbers that you want to have and generate in your income, from the. You do also have to be aware that if your tenant does not pay their rent, you still own that property and the mortgage is in your name.
Your name. She's real specific.
Yes.
Your name.
Your name. Your own. Your name, not the tenant's name. So you do have to realize that whether the tenant pays the rent or not, you have to pay the mortgage to maintain your.
So there's risk involved, right? Which is understandable. Yes.
Yes. And so in terms of the numbers, I would say that it is a good idea to have a property manager, a management company to oversee. I know some people, investors that, they oversee and manage their own properties. That works well, best when that is your full time. If you have that receipt, and then I always say you still have to manage the manager.
Yes.
Right.
You still need to be on top of what's going on with your property and how monies are spent, because sometimes the property manager will spend money and make decisions as if your last name is Rockefeller. I'm always spend it like money. Spend it like money. So we need to talk about, my last name is not Rockefeller. Yeah, so real clear and oversee what the property manager is doing.
Right.
You should request inspections of the property. Some people have it done every 6 months, some people once a year, so that you can see that is maintaining the property. Because some folks, everybody has a different level, different standard of living. And some people might have, they may be okay with putting a bucket up under the faucet if it's leaking. Well, it's not leaking on the floor, it's leaking in the bucket. I'll empty the bucket every now and then. No, that's a problem. The water bill higher,
it's not leaking on the floor, it's leaking in the bucket. Yeah.
It's leaking in the bucket. No.
But that's the life of a landlord, right? And what landlords have to face. Yeah.
And and so the tenant might be, like I said, okay with it, but
it's not that's being a landlord. No, but we get what you're saying in terms of, and then you have to make sure as a landlord things are serviced once a year. So the tenants, central air, things like that, because those things over time will break if they're not serviced, just like your car. Right. Yeah. So I guess what you're saying is that mindset, when you step into that realm of becoming a landlord, you got to know what it takes. You can't be a landlord in California and got property in Ohio and a property manager who isn't up to speed. Right.
You have to have a good property manager.
You have to have a good property manager and a reasonable one at that too. Right. Yeah.
Because don't be fooled, landlords, that there are some very wise tenants out there that know the law too.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely.
And just because you're the owner of the house, they can pay their rent, pay it to an attorney. They have paid their time, but because you have not made repairs, they're making sure that it is withheld from you until you bring the property back up to standards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've heard. I have heard of like actual tenants taking over houses, and not because the landlord didn't do what they were supposed to do, but there's a situation going on and it's a standoff and it's your house and you can't even get in it.
Well, we had your investment, right?
Yeah, we had friends that had that happen to them where they tried to evict these tenants and they had just cause. She went through the court, she did everything. It was literally a standoff.
Yeah.
Because
and that experience, because I tried to be a landlord in my property in Pennsylvania when I relocated to Maryland, and it was very hard. It was very, very hard. Yeah. It's really, to be a landlord, you have to really have everything lined up. Truly could be an investment, but it has to be one that you, like you said, you got to get the right property manager, the right pieces in place, because if you have bad tenants, it's really hard to get them out of your property. Yeah.
Yes.
So that was my lesson learned. So yeah.
So was hers.
Yeah.
I'll never be
a landlord again. I was like, not for me. Yep. So, yep.
Yeah. So, there are some jurisdictions where if the temperature is below a certain temperature at night, you can't evict. If the temperature is below 32, or if the temperature is too hot, you can't evict. Pay your rent.
Yeah.
Pay and landlords take care of your properties. And there are people that make a good living, and properties are profitable like they were intended to be, but you just have to have, as you mentioned, Suzette, you have to have things in order.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to know upfront the things that can go well and what that picture looks like, and then if it doesn't, you know, what that looks like and how you're going to handle those situations as well.
Yeah, that's good.
LaWanda, another question I have for you. How did you see landlords affected last year during COVID?
Right, where people couldn't
really evict.
That's a great point.
I was just thinking about that
people
the other day.
The whole year.
Yeah,
I ain't getting no rent because I ain't got no job. Like, how did landlords?
Yeah, how did you see landlords coping with that? Like, how did they fare? I know some of them I've talked to said they were actually paid by the government, so they still. The tenants paid them because the government was giving them money. So I've heard two extremes. So I don't know. I guess I just wanted to get your take on your experience with people you've talked to.
Yeah.
Since you're in that realm.
Yeah.
So what happened during special phase of life that we're in, this pandemic, is that the government was also allowing landlords not to pay their mortgage. So
okay. So it kind of worked hand in hand. Okay.
Yeah.
You got grace in both sides, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so, but you know, all good things come to an end.
And therein lies the tale.
Yeah. So
the gravy train gets over. Yes.
You know, they said people need to go back to work. You know, it's time to go back to work. And exactly. So that's how landlords were able to make it through.
I didn't realize they allowed the landlords grace as well. I didn't realize that. I knew they were giving monies to people to pay their rents, but I didn't realize they did that to the landlords as well. So that was good. That was good. Okay, so now let's talk about. So we talked about the income generating piece of it. How do you see people using real estate to build wealth, like generational wealth to leave to their children? Legacy.
Right.
So with that, I would say that, you know, just like I mentioned before about landlords and having property, first of all, you don't have to sell a property in order to buy the next.
Okay.
Hopefully. I mean, if you, let me just share with you real quick a book that I read.
I love her. The Budgetnista. I love her.
Get good with money. Get it. Yes.
In a few clubs, and this one came up, and it has been, and I think it is the financial Bible. I don't know Tiffany, but you know, she has a lot of good nuggets from A to Z in terms of what to do with your money, how to amass monies, and how to save. You know, she talks about her own scenario where she was a teacher making $39,000 a year. And in a couple of years, she was able to save $40,000. It got to
amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it did come to a point in time when her parents pulled her to the side and said, here's our credit card, you know, go get your hair done, go get your nails done, because she had really pulled back on all of her spending. Like, and she said they didn't know I had, you know, tens of dollars in the bank. I just wasn't spending it.
Right.
But at any rate, in terms of financial wealth and building financial wealth, I mentioned earlier, don't buy the McMansion, you know, first time out of the gate. I have a client that he and his wife bought property, but there were several properties he bought in his own name. And then he said, I'm saving her credit to make additional purchases, you know, so they were able to strategize on how they can buy properties and buy multiple properties.
Interesting.
And so you can buy more than one when you don't use your full credit limit on one.
Right.
Makes sense.
Right.
And it's a systematic thing when you're trying to do that as a continuous legacy building of I'm buying a home here, buying a home here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I have another client who always looks for opportunities to buy properties where the owner can live in one part and rent out the other.
That's good.
And so that's also another way to build wealth.
A lot of folks do that. Yeah.
A separate entrance where the tenant doesn't interfere, impact, engage with you on a basis because they have their own entrance. And that money could be your constant saving money that you don't have. That's a way to also amass wealth. My husband and I guess about, I can't believe it's about 20 years ago, we owned a duplex, and we lived in one part, and it was a 3-level duplex, and we had tenants that lived in the other half. We had a property management company. They did not know we were the owners living next door.
Wow.
So the home had hardwood floors, and I could hear every now and then these little feet. They were not supposed to have any pets. And I called the property management company. They have an animal,
a little doggy running around, or a cat.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And so, as part of the requirement, the home was all hardwood floors, but they had to cover 75% of the floor with carpet. And so I could hear, the dog walking, and then it would be silent. Then I hear the dog, and it would be silent. And that was because it was on and off the carpet.
Right. But
at any rate, a few days later,
that secret phone call to the
and I was driven away somewhere. Went to live somewhere else with somebody else. But we were able to live side by side and wave and say hi. They had no idea that we were owners.
Well, they know now, but yeah,
they knew after
after
maybe
made that little secret call.
No, they didn't know because she had a property. That was smart having a property manager, because then you didn't have to show up.
You didn't have to do anything.
Yeah. I don't have to be the mean tough guy in their face.
There you go.
Yeah.
They need to get rid of the dog because.
So what did they say when you said no pets? You think you meant a horse? Don't bring the horse, the buffalo, tiger.
Not the buffalo. You're a mess.
I mean, but a dog could be allowed, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Speaking of pets, and people that are renting, and they have big furniture, they have king size beds, and I'm like, and I tell my tenant clients, rent just enough space to hold stuff, because should be temporary.
Right.
Year, 2 years at the most.
Yeah, that's what we did. Scott and I did that 2 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. While you're trying to save money, rent the small thing you can.
Yeah.
And I've had some clients that had, a lot of stuff. So I said, okay, 1 bedroom in this place, you're going to stand up that mattress, all the extra furniture, so you don't have to rent storage, because that's another whole thing. These days, more storage.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. So I said, have 1 room that will be your storage room, so you don't have to pay extra money for that. But store your stuff that way you can see what's happening with it. You have easy access to it.
Yes.
But not creating an extra bill. But just rent is supposed to be a short-term thing. And I'm working with a client now, and I can see it's flashing up on my phone. She's sending me more properties because I need to rent a place. The owner is kicking me out after 11 years of renting because now they want to sell, and I need to be out by December 1st. Can you find me a place? 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 2-car garage for $2,200, and it needs to be here in the code.
And throw in a fireplace if you can. and
what? For 2. I mean,
I can't with you,
because I got a horse and a tiger that I might need some room for $2,200. Can you make it happen?
And my size bed in the room. Your king size bed and 80-inch TV won't fit.
Wow. In an apartment.
I'm telling you.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? I don't know why I'm acting like that.
Right.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
And which point do you say, let me buff my crystal ball and just get to work, or my magic wand, right?
Yeah. And I have a few clients that say that to me. I know you can make it happen. Make it happen.
I know you can make it happen.
You sitting there like, I'm glad you got confidence because I'm not sure about this one.
So listen, I now know I cannot be a realtor. Thank you so much. You have cleared the path to let me know I cannot be a realtor, so yeah.
Well, speaking of being a realtor,
Yes.
I've had a few clients that have said to me, you make this seem so easy. I think I might want to become a real estate agent. Can you tell me, how to go about doing that? And, what's the process? First of all, you have to have a load of patience.
Yeah.
Just understand about the people that want things and, just like this.
Yeah.
But, the requirement coming in terms of the educational requirement, I think it's about 60 hours. It was over 30 years ago since I took the class.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But, you should I encourage new agents to get with a real estate company that will offer them further education, because you can't learn it all in hours. I mean, you really need some hands-on, experience, working on the job, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But secondly, it's not like you get paid every 2 weeks. That is not how that works.
Right.
I've had some clients that I've
grind.
taken out one time and they selected their house.
Right.
I've had other clients, it's taken a year, maybe 2, for them to find.
2 years?
Now that's patience. That's patience.
You have to have patience. You move the front burner to the back burner. If it's gonna take 2 years, but
I can only imagine those tours when you got them after 2 years. Okay, I can only imagine.
Wow.
I probably sit outside and be like, "Go ahead, take a look at the house. Let me know."
But legally, we can't.
You can't do that.
I'm just saying. I go on in. Let me know.
Now we know why Suzette is not going to be a real estate agent.
After 2 years,
girl.
I'll be like, go on in. Let me know.
At best, you take them out, they see a property, in 30 days you can go to closing. So, I encourage, my children, I have 4, they're all young adults. I can't believe the youngest just turned 20.
I know.
So, you don't even look like you have a 20.
I know. She's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So I said, it's a good idea to have a job that only pays you once a month. You know why? Because that teaches you how to budget.
Yeah,
good point.
You can't spend it all in week 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. So with real estate, you have to have a lot of patience, because as a realtor, I'm not buying today. So every now and then folks will ask me, what's your opinion? What do you think? Well, I had a client that was, evaluating homes. It didn't have a dining room, single person. And I said, well, do you have large family gatherings? Is that no? I mean, seriously, I was asking. So he was like, no. So then a room is really not that important to you, right? Because it's something. It's just a room that you would be buying furniture to sit on display, or like the plastic
optics for that person. Yeah. It was about the optics. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not about me. It's about you and what you need. In this DMV, I always ask people, where do they work? I don't need to know who you work for, but where do you work? Because that is key in terms of where you live. Because
that commute can be, it can make the make or break. Right.
Yes.
So you're so intuitive as a realtor. Those are innately things as a realtor that you're like, because you want the client to be happy with the purchase.
Definitely.
Yes. When I was just telling a client yesterday while I was out showing property, I said, at the end of the day, at the end of the closing day, I want you to be happy.
Exactly.
You have bought the home that was meant for you.
Right. Right.
There's going to be more homes. I think it was New Homes Guide that had a commercial out years ago. They said, oh, I didn't know those homes were there, after they had already bought a home. There are more homes on the market. I mean, you got to stick a pin in and go, this is the one I'm buying today.
Yeah.
This is my needs. But, having the right amount of space, not buying too much house, making sure that you're not going to be killing yourself on the commute,
right?
Back and forth
that
work.
makes sense.
That is key. And for it is really repulsive to me, but there are bad apples in every profession.
Yes.
But those realtors that they just want you to hurry and make that sale because they need
right.
Yeah. That's not true. Yeah.
Never wanted to be that person that, I want you to hurry up and sign today because I got a bill to pay.
Right.
That part.
Yes. I have my business built on repeat business, referral business.
Right.
People that come. I have a client that it seems like every 2 or 3 years I'm ready to sell. You know why? Because I'm tired of my kitchen in the front. I want my kitchen in the back. I don't want people coming in and seeing my kitchen. So he was selling, like I said, are you sure? Because I thought you were sure last, but you sure you want to move? And so people want what they want.
Right. Right.
It's not about me.
I was just going to say, your job is to do what they need you to do.
And you probably get great referrals because of the way you approach things, because ultimately that's what happens, right?
Yes.
And it's easier to keep a client than it is to go find a new one.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Value in that relationship. And I think that's what you do. You're a relationship builder in your long-term, relationship with your clients, albeit that you may have one that ain't bought a house in 2 years, but I'd probably change my number. But again, this is why I'm not a realtor. See? This is why.
Suzette is
I'm a realtor.
They'd be calling and be like, did she change her phone number? Because I ain't heard from her. But Dr. Lawanda is graceful.
Yes, she is very graceful.
I try. So, and then there is a cost involved with getting real estate. It's going to cost you a couple $1,000s to get, take the class, pay for the class. And then there are real estate board fees that you have to pay.
Yeah.
So are those annual?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you got to keep on your board's fee, all of that. Right. And just keep on your game too, when understanding the market, how it shifts, when it's,
Yes. So it's not like, like I said, you don't get paid every 2 weeks. And you're not going to come in with $5 and sign up and be a realtor.
Right. No, you gotta have,
That's great for people to understand because, I know you're in the tech industry and as was I, and those are the same way. We have annual fees, certifications don't cost hundreds, they cost thousands of dollars. And I think that, people look at the salaries that you make, they don't realize the investment that you also have to put into it.
Yeah, it's like being an entrepreneur though.
Yeah, and it sounds like real estate is the same thing,
it's the same thing as being an
entrepreneur.
It
is a time, money, everything investment. And I don't say cost because I think people need to understand there are times we need to invest in ourselves, right?
Yes.
It's not about like we're spending this money. You're spending this money for a greater outcome and a greater return on your investment. And I think we have to, especially as women, we have to remember we're not just spending money. Like we spend money on shoes and purses, but when you're investing in yourself, it's for a greater return on the other end. So I want the audience to understand that some things you have to invest in yourself first. You want others to invest in you. You have to find yourself valuable enough to invest in yourself first, whether that's real estate or whatever else. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to start a business, all of that is going to require upfront money, and you're going to have to invest in yourself and invest in your dreams and your future and stuff. So,
and being a realtor requires real relationships. So you got to nurture those relationships. I mean, I was joking earlier, but it is about nurturing the relationships.
But I think that's with anything now.
And building that, but really understanding that you don't come out and have a day one sale, as with anything, because I think there might be some sense of, falsehood there that, I'm going to sell this house right away. And you may not, even though the market is great for selling. You have to build that relationship because there's another realtor reaching out to that person as well. So good information.
Okay.
Good information.
I think we also have to realize like we are in a space right now where people want relationships, not just like these you have so many of these little like get quick rich schemes and stuff out there. I think we've forgotten business is about relationships.
Yeah.
Well, no matter what business you're in,
right.
Those soft skills matter.
Yeah.
Being able to communicate, being able to draw people in, and being able to, I think the best is determine their needs and be the problem solver, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, and LaWanda, you described it great when you said, "Hey, is it the commute? Are you single? Like, do you need a dining room? Like, but
she is a problem solver.
I know that's what I'm saying. You have to be,
and maybe a psychiatrist too on certain days. It all depends.
Now, don't get me started.
You may have to wear that hat, because the woman wanted a dining room. She had no family, and you was like, "Are you sure you need a dining room? Because you ain't got nobody coming over." But that's a little therapy there, right? But
yeah. So speaking of that, I have had some situations where people, COVID and real estate. I've had some people that I had 4 women that I was working with at the same time that were all leaving their spouses, and they were looking to pass. And so I said, I said, wait, are you sure? Because, I don't know if you're married or not, Suzette, but I know that Yolanda's married and has been married for some time, as have I. And, marriage is not a day in the park honeymoon every day.
That's right.
Okay. So you were trying to figure out if there was like Tuesday, we had an argument, and Wednesday she's calling the realtor. I get it. I'm single though. I'm single right now, but I get it.
But Suzette was married.
I was married. Yes. Yes, I was married.
But I had a group of women that all came to me that were leaving their spouses. And I'm just like, in COVID, I kept hearing on the news where this was happening. People were splitting because too much time.
Yeah.
And I said, you may want to, are you sure that you want to split? I'm serious.
That was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they were sure. But, I gave them
a decision. Yeah.
Yes. And especially have children involved.
Yes.
Right. Because, it's you want to understand, are they operating in motion because of emotion is something that I always say.
Yeah.
Because that motion really has to make sense if it's an emotional reaction. So good for you for tapping into that, because you certainly don't want somebody to make a bad decision down the road.
Right. Yeah. Because it's affecting a lot of people, not just, some folks that, I wanted pizza and she wanted Frank's. And so there was this big argument, so you go up and leave because you wanted to order pizza.
Right.
We had hot dogs in the house and we're going to have that.
But it goes deeper than that, right? We all know it's
that might be the trigger, but that's not what it trigger.
The trigger is like, you're not hearing me, right? I'm feeling, and and I definitely I think COVID tested all.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Just COVID tested, even being single, COVID test, because my dog, some days I was just like, I need you to go somewhere. I don't know who you're going to get to walk you, but I really feel, may he rest in peace, because the dog, I had to put the dog down. But there were some days when I was just like, you need to find somebody to walk you today, because I just don't know if I can do it. Yeah. So I'm just saying, but I get it.
But LaWanda, I really, Scott and I, it's funny, we started a marriage e-group online, basically for married couples. During COVID, we were prompted to do that because I started hearing that there were so many married couples that were struggling during COVID. That they, I had talked to some young ladies locally, and some of them expressed to me that they no longer understood who their spouse was.
Yeah. And
that they wondered if they had the chance to go back, would they have married their spouse again? Because COVID really showed them that they had either not been compatible in the beginning, they didn't like who they became as a part of being their spouse, and they didn't like who their spouse had become. I said, wow. And so as we went through COVID, Scott and I actually started this e-group, and we started realizing there were a lot of marriages that were struggling.
Yeah.
Because people had to realize they didn't know who they were as a married couple anymore.
Yeah.
Or they had grown so far apart from each other, they didn't want to be with the people they married, and they realized that they had grown apart. So I think, and that was that pause, right? When you're out of the house all the time, right? You don't,
you're now working from home.
You don't think about it.
But it's so interesting how we have now, I always say we're threading the needle here, right? Because we're threading the fact that impacted real estate.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right? That impacted housing, even though people weren't leaving their homes. Somehow this impacted real estate from the perspective of somebody wanted out, and somebody was like, I need to find either an apartment or to purchase a home. So we see how that impact goes.
And
right?
not just that, there were people that were living in smaller spaces
that wanted
that now they had to work from home constantly.
Right.
They weren't going to the office. Yeah. They needed a bigger space.
Yeah. And that's a definite human sort of thing that I believe that we all should nourish and cherish, is our own space.
Yes.
And I think that, that's something, no matter if you're together or not, is a requirement, because I think that enables you to keep the relationship healthy, because sometimes we just need our own space.
Oh yeah. I love that we have doors in this house. I can go lock myself in one.
Yeah.
I can say during COVID, I put myself on a lot of time out. I was like, I'm going upstairs. I see y'all later. I'm going to lay on my bed and watch a movie.
Right. And even looking at the same space after a while, mentally, it messes with your whole sort of, rhythm. So I think you got to get out of a space, because I used to do that. Sometimes I would work in my office. Sometimes I would go work out in Starbucks. Sometimes I would, it's about the rhythm. So I think real estate, it's not unusual that you're saying the impact of COVID on real estate from that personal perspective, not just because of the market. So
we're speaking from a privileged advantage point. You do realize that, because there are people, those women were very privileged that they could afford to move to another space.
Right.
There were also those people that were not privileged enough to move to another space
and succumb to that.
Yes.
And so are there programs, LaWanda, for people that are struggling, like that may have been put out of places or couldn't find new spaces? Are there programs that you know of that can help people in that space?
So I would say that adult protective services is an avenue. There are a lot of programs by way, you and I are both in sororities. There are, an abundance of places that people, but there's a lot of people that just won't raise their hand.
I know that's the hard part.
To understand what's out there.
Well, it's a pride thing. It's like they feel, they feel like they can't let people know they're in need.
That's real.
And so I've experienced that with people, again, going through the 2008 real estate market crash. And people, they've been getting notices from their mortgage company. They knew that they were behind or not making their payments, and that, a day was going to come when they needed to sell. They were just, cowering in the corner, and didn't want to say anything until, okay, they're going to take it tomorrow or next week. Can you help me? Okay. So, now we have to really dig in hard and fast to try and help you, get this stopped and get things back on track for you. And so again, just like with domestic violence, and again, because a lot of that went up during COVID because people are getting in close quarters. The same thing when people are behind in their mortgage or their rent, and they just don't want to say, because outside they look good. But reality, once you get in, and see what's going on, it's not.
This was insightful, for real.
I think it is hard to, and I'm glad that you brought that up, adult services and stuff like that, because if there is someone listening,
Mhm.
you will at least give them a seed of where
Mhm.
they can go, even if they don't
Absolutely.
want to admit it to
Yeah.
family members or friends.
Yes.
They can go and investigate those things for
Yeah.
themselves. And you're absolutely right. I think I
Mhm.
think the hardest part is admitting we need help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's so funny because you just made real estate about self-care, right? It's I'm not trying to be funny, but you really did, because you sometimes, as you and Suzette have indicated, your space can be the thing that's toxic to you, right? Whether you're with someone, say you have a roommate or a spouse or whatever it is, a family member that's living with you that is making your space.
Roommate, I'm having a flashback.
Yeah, you know about that. She had a roommate. So,
but you're right.
But
you're right.
you have to be able to find space, like you said, for yourself, a space that makes you feel safe, a space where you can mentally unwind.
Right.
And like I said, I think when you have that, that is a privilege, because everybody doesn't have that. Right.
Yeah.
And I think COVID really made us realize that those of us who are homeowners, or, who didn't have to worry about housing and who didn't have to worry about being in spaces with unsafe people, because, domestic violence went up during COVID, child abuse, all of these things. This is all tied back to real estate. It really is, because if you don't have a space, right, if you don't have somewhere that you're safe or a place you can go, you could be in a very difficult situation. And
Absolutely.
so, like I said, I'm very grateful that, God gave us a space that was safe during COVID, but I do realize that that wasn't the reality for a lot of people. And, the news bore that out with children and, women, that a lot of them were in spaces where they were being abused. And that all went up. There's, the crime reports reflected that there were spaces where children who would normally go to school to get away from it were in it all day. And that's where my heart broke, because I'm like, every child should not have to sit in a space where they feel unsafe. So
I think we have to say, as we close, that you facilitated a place of peace and sanctuary.
And the same for
that's part of being a realtor as well. A good realtor,
and making an impact,
a peace and sanctuary for people, and making an impact. So that makes you quite the realtor.
Yes. So grateful.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I enjoy what I do. Helping people make a decision on the biggest purchase that they make in their lives.
And
that's an emotional one too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So LaWanda, some of the resources, you sent us some resources, but can you talk briefly about some of the resources that you sent to us where people can go to help them on this journey, and do some research on their own, because you do need to do your due diligence.
Yes, absolutely. And so one of the things that I said was absolutely key is knowing your credit score, knowing what's on the credit report. We are allowed and given the opportunity to get one credit report every year. Free. And so we can go to freecreditreport.com, annualcreditreport.com, where you can get all three, and the three main bureaus, I should say, because there are other credit bureaus as well out there. But by car, they may not use the same credit bureaus as the mortgage company. But then you can also go directly to Experian or TransUnion in order to Trans.com, Equifax.com, and get your credit report, because your creditors don't all report to the same bureau. So there may be information at different bureaus about you, and you need to know. Someone says you ordered a magazine that you didn't, and it's out there. Now that is bringing your credit score down. So you need to be very diligent in terms of looking at your credit on a regular basis, at least once a year. And then, trying to keep it up. And so Tiffany talks about that a lot, trying to get credit score.
Boy, Tiffany better hire you as a publicist. I'm just saying. Okay. Hire her, Tiffany.
And we're definitely, can you raise the book up one more time?
Yeah.
It's called,
let's see.
Tiffany Alish.
Get Good with Money.
Get Good with Money.
Get
We're going to put
money.
that as a resource too.
Okay.
Get money. Yes.
Get Good with Money. She's great for that.
Yes. And so if people are interested in becoming a realtor, or if they're looking to find out whether or not their realtor is in good standing with the board,
Good.
you can go to DLLR, the Maryland Real Estate Commission website, and make sure that the realtor that you're using doesn't have fines against them for doing illegal things.
Right.
Like I said, every profession has a few bad apples, so need to check. Thank goodness, I'm knocking some wood, haven't had any fines.
Amen
30
to that.
years. Yes,
Yes.
amen to
Amen.
that. So those are the website references that I have to share today, and feel free to give me a call. I don't know if I can say, you can reach out to me.
I was just about to say, so where can they reach you? You can share anything you like, your phone number, your social media, your email.
Yes.
What is it that you want? How can they reach you?
So the best way to reach me is by my cell, which is 301-807-8938.
Okay.
301-807-8938. My email address is studevantreteam@yahoo.com.
Okay. And we will make sure that we put that out there. So if they want to contact you, they can get in touch with you. So we'll have a flyer with that we'll post with your information on it. Thank you so much
amazing.
for joining us today, Dr.
learned so
LaWanda.
much.
Yes,
Yes.
I always love the guests that we have here. They always leave such an impact on us.
Yeah.
I always learn a little something new, even with the stuff that I know myself.
Yeah.
I always tend to learn.
We really got real
little
about real estate.
We did.
We really did.
We got real.
We got real. Yeah.
I love it.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what else God does with you in the future, because you're doing some amazing things. Whether you realize it or not, you are definitely doing some amazing things to help people. Homes and space are very important to us as human beings. We all need a place to lay our heads. So
Absolutely.
what you do, I don't take lightly. It's actually a ministry for you.
Oh my
You
goodness.
helping folks find what they
There
need.
you
I'm
go.
being honest. Like,
She's got the ministry for
Yes.
it. You are graced for it.
Yes.
That's your calling. It is not mine. I praise Jesus. It's not mine.
and now we know that Suzette is not real estate.
If I was thinking about it,
agent material.
you definitely let me know. It ain't for me. Yeah. You done gave out your cell phone number and everything. I wasn't doing that. I'd be like, email me.
That's so crazy.
Nope. But that's it. That's why
awesome.
you know you're graced for it.
Well, thank you all for joining us today. And you know how we like. Yeah, yes, you are so welcome. Thank you for saying yes. We are grateful for your yes.
Thank you.
And like we like to end the show. Here we go. Keep rising and bring somebody with you. We'll see you guys next week.
Take care.
I love
Take
that.
care.
Nowhere to go but up.